things like that. Like this is one of his things. He does.
Is this hand done?
He's working on. This is done with a laser. It's like a really
okay, yeah.
So, and then this is where our sales staff and everything. Chloe worked.
Well, I have to take a picture of it.
All right. Are we ready to head up?
Here we are going into the factory.
It smells kind of fumey in here, and it's partly because of the weather that we're having to close up all the doors. One thing I should mention is that our factory exceeds all of Chinese standards as far as safety and air quality and all those sorts of things. But one of the things that we've made as a big project for this past year and also the next year to come is that we really want to raise all of the standards even more to U.S. standards as far as health and safety and so forth. You're going to smell a good number of fumes and stuff like that. That we're working on getting better ventilation and things like that in all of the buildings and so forth, just so that it's a safer place to work. And like I mentioned, when New Day was started, we were committed to paying everyone a fair wage and working a regular 40-hour work week, and we still are committed to all of that. So everybody that works here is paid fairly to do what they do, and they all get money for health insurance and get paid overtime and all those sorts of things. So this is the room where all of the molds are made, and this is actually the most expensive part of the process because they're made out of silicone. And if you make a mistake with silicone, you can't melt it down and start over again. You have to start fresh with new silicone. And basically what they do in here is they pour and brush layers and layers of silicone over that original clay sculpture. And each of our pieces are so detailed that you have to get it just right. You can't have any air pockets or anything like that. So this is a really exact science in here. So I think that if we go in here, we can see a couple of the molds.
They're all
people. And so when you go into factories, you see that everything is hand done by people. And so when you go back to America and you see something that says made in China on it, chances are there were a lot of hands that touched it before it made it to America. So this is some examples of the molds. You'll see that they can touch it. It's real heavy, and there's incredible detail in them.
That's cool. This is silicone?
Silicone.
That's cool. That's really cool. Rubbery.
Yep.
So it's like a mirror, it's opposite.
Yep.
That's really neat.
And for each of these, you can make about 300 to 400 pieces, and then you have to start over again.
Because it gets worn away.
Yeah, so a lot of our things have several molds. So these are some of the molds, and then we can go to the next room. All right, so this is the next stage where we bring the molds in and we pour in a liquid that is a combination of poly resin and stone powder, and it goes into the molds, and then it goes into these. These are not ovens. Nothing is baked. They are actually compression chambers, and they're in for a minute and a half, and basically what it does is it sucks all of the air out of it and hardens it. And when they come out looking like this, and you can feel if you don't have the mittens on, they're kind of sticky still a little bit, so they need to harden for a couple of days before they're ready to go to the next stage in the process. And you can see around the edges, and it just feels kind of rough. And so the next stage, everything gets scraped and sanded down and gets ready to be painted. Cyrus noticed when we were in the offices that we also have things that look kind of like copper or bronze. And that's a different process where before this liquid goes into the mold, we pour in a copper powder, so it's like this coppery looking powder stuff, shake it around, put in the poly resin, and then when that comes out, it's black. And we just buff it with steel wool, and it comes out looking exactly like a bronze sculpture. And that process was actually invented by Li Jun, the guy who started New Day, because he was originally a chemist, so he came up with a pretty cool idea.
Is that process used worldwide now?
I think it's just used here.
Okay.
then this is where everything comes in to get sanded down and scraped and ready to be painted. And some of our pieces come in several different pieces, like this guy, it's a story from the Bible of Jesus washing his disciples' feet. And so this came in several pieces where you have, Peter sitting on the bench and here's Jesus, and so each one gets sanded and then it gets stuck together before it's painted and then goes onto a stand. It's really kind of crazy. I had only seen these products like being made at New Day, and then when I was home in Montana, I went into a bookstore with my mom to get a Christmas CD, and there was this huge display of New Day products, and I had never seen any of it like in a store before, And I'm like, oh my goodness, I work at the place that makes these, and my voice got all high and squeaky, and everyone thought I was a little bit crazy, but anyway, it was kind of cool to actually see that these products aren't just made here, but they actually show up and are sold.
So these are the ones waiting to be done, and those are the ones that she's done?
Yeah, these ones haven't been scraped yet.
The workers not
Like our management staff.
Watch your step, watch your step.
Thank you.
Watch out.
Alright, so this is the room where everything is painted. Or it's the place where everything is sanded down. Like this is an example of some of those pieces that have the copper powder on them, and then they're buffed out with the steel wool. So this is what that looks like with that finish. And then these ladies are doing all of the painting. But we can just walk down and our main distributor in the United States is called Lighthouse Christian Products. They purchase our products and then they sell them to Christian bookstores around the States. And then on every box it mentions like this piece was made at New Day Creations. So if you ever see that packaging,
we'll know what we were here.
Where's Lighthouse based out of?
They're based out of Chicago.
I think I've seen those packagings before. I may actually.
That's so cool. This part she does with like the 茶会.